Hi, my name is Chris, and here's a quick tutorial and demo on the animated effects generator action set for Photoshop, now exclusively being sold at graphicriver.net. Now, just a quick introduction about this product. The animated effects generator is a set of actions for Photoshop that can automatically generate fancy animated effects within Photoshop and then save them to animated GIFs or even videos that you can use for your websites and presentations. Something that would definitely be time consuming and complex with just Photoshop. So basically, if you want to create impressive animated effects but didn't want to spend too much money on a new software, this is the product for you. Let's get started. Well, this tutorial will come in two parts. The first one will be a quick start guide demonstrating how easy it is to generate a 24-frame blurring animation for a single object. And the second part will demonstrate how to use the blend actions to create animations for multiple objects. Okay, so now the first thing we need to do is to load the action set into Photoshop. And that's what I'm doing right now. Alright, and as you can see here, we have two sets of actions. We have the blend in actions and the create actions. The create actions generate new animation frames, and it will generate a 24-frame animation sequence that can be made into a loop. The blend in actions, however, are used to generate animations for additional objects, but it will not generate animation frames. Therefore, if you haven't already created an animation sequence, or if there are no pre-existing animation frames, it will not work as expected. Later I'll explain why. Okay, so now that we've loaded the action, we need to create a new document. Okay, at this point there is no need to worry about document size, but for now, let's say we are creating an animated 240 by 400 web banner. So let's go ahead and create a 240 by 400 Photoshop document. Alright. Now, since this first part is just a quick start guide, we'll keep everything simple. What we'll create here would be a simple 240 by 400 animated banner with a gradient background and a looping animated hello world text. Okay, and so the first thing we need to do here, we're going to set up our background, and let's just make use of this existing background layer here. Double click it to convert into a regular layer, and let's just name it layer 0 for now. Okay, now let's put some color to it by adding some layer style to it. Let's just make it a simple let's say blue gradient. Alright, now that we have a pretty gradient background, let's add the text, which we'll animate later. Alright, now that we have all the components we need, we have our background layer and the text layer that we want to animate. So what we basically want to do here is that we want this hello world text to animate. Then the background, we want it intact and not animated. With the animated effects generator action set, everything will be done for you, so you don't need to think about the technicalities of creating that animation. All you have to do is pick the layer you want to animate, pick the effect that you want, and run the actions. That's it. Okay, so before we run the action, let's first toggle the animation pane if it's not already visible on your screen. Okay, now we're going to run one of the create actions to generate our first animated text. Click on the layer you wish to animate. In this case, we want to animate the hello world text. And now let's run the horizontal blur effect action. Note that we need to run the create action, not the blend action. Okay. Now, we notice here that we have a dialog box that appears. Don't be alarmed, it's just basically telling us to save our work or document before we run the action. Okay. If you haven't already done so, just click stop and save your document. In this case, let's just say we've already saved the document and we want to generate the animation. By the way, note that in our animation pane, there is only one pre-existing animation frame. That's because this document is not animated. Okay. But after we run this action, of course, we will have a total of 24 frames in our animation pane, and that would consist our 24 frame animation sequence. Okay, so let's go ahead and click continue. Now all we have to do is wait. Now here we have a second dialog that appears, and it's asking for our input. This is the pause, or the number of seconds the object reanimated stays on the screen unanimated. Okay, later I'll just explain further what this is, but for now let's leave it at the default and hit OK. Now this would be our third and last dialog that we need to put in something. Anyway, this is just basically asking us for a layer group name. You can put anything in the box except for the keyword anim, or ANIM for now. So let's just leave it at its default and we're all done. Just click stop here. Now, as you have observed, our text is gone, but as you can see in the animation pane, we have several new animation frames, right? And if you also look at the layer panel, we have new layers as well. And all these layers you see under the anim 001 layer group, these are the animation frames that were generated by the action. So if you collapse this layer group, you'll notice that our original hello world text remains intact, and it's just in fact hidden. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to play the animation. Just go over to the animations panel and hit the rewind button here, or you can just click on the first frame in our animation frame and then hit play. There we go, our first text animation. As you've noticed, it only played the animation once. If you want to preview a looping animation, simply click this tiny triangular thing here and select forever in the list, and then play the animation again, and voila, we got ourselves a looping animation. Now that we have our animation ready, let's say we want to export it to an animated GIF so we can put it in our website. Just basically go to File and then Save for Web and Devices. Now you can quickly select any of the GIF presets here, or you can create your own custom settings by just picking the GIF format on this drop-down list and tweak the other settings on the screen. And once you're done, just hit save.